Hello there. My name is Matthew Londei. I am a Customer Success Manager, or CSM, here with BIM Track. I'd like to welcome you all to the importance of getting your project team trained. Today with me is, let me just jump slides here, can I?
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. That'd be fun. For some reason, it doesn't want to. We're off to a banging start here, folks.
All right.
Slide number. Holy cow, what's going on here? There we go. It helps if I open this window.
Perfect.
So again, that's me, Matthew Londei, Customer Success Manager with BIM Track. I've been with the company just over 3 years. As a Customer Success Manager, it is my job to make sure that everyone out there is having a positive, beneficial, and overall fantastic experience with the platform. We are going to explore the ways we can do that today, but I'd like to hand it over to Drew here for a second and let him introduce himself.
Afternoon, Drew Rebman. I'm a VDC Manager with Hensel Phelps. I've been working with Matthew now for quite some time, and to deploy BIM Track. So I'm kind of one of our BIM Track proponents, I guess. I guess everyone now at this point at Hensel Phelps is a pretty big proponent, but I was kind of one of the ones that helped push it out and get us really rocking and rolling on it, and work on our hub management and our user management and metrics and that kind of thing. So I've been working with Matthew for quite some time now.
Perfect. Thanks. So here's our agenda for today. In our webinar, we will be focusing on the who, what's, when's, how's, and why's of project team training. We'll look into exactly what a Care Plus session is and an additional service that can be provided by BIM Track. And we're going to focus on how Hensel Phelps utilizes these solutions to maximize the usage of BIM Track on their multiple hubs. So again, let's just dive right in. We're going to talk about the why here. So why is getting your project team so important? Well, the answer is fairly obvious. We want everyone who is touching BIM Track to know what they're doing and that they're utilizing the platform to its most beneficial abilities. We're fully aware and we know that introducing a new tool into your flow can sometimes feel disruptive, and I hate that word. I can't stress that enough. We do not want to be disruptive at all. We want to be complementary. So we want to make sure that you have the knowledge to appropriately implement with no frustration at all. Of course, if we know what we're doing with the tool, we're going to be proficient and we're going to continue to utilize on future projects. And this is why you should build specific portions of BIM Track into your BXP or into your BIM execution plan. And as I said earlier, I'm going to provide you all with an easy copy-paste document after the webinar here today. Drew? Yeah,
so we're very much aligned with what Matthew has said just previously. We have very specific ways of working, and we want our trainings to be a close reflection of that workflow, right? A baked training takes you a really long way, but the specific to your workflows can be so much more powerful. We need to optimize the time all of our users are spending with the tool. So we want to optimize the time that they spend working with someone from BIM Track. The tool is designed to be a time saver overall. So the training should be a time saver as well. If you're going to be paying for something, right? If we're going to be paying for this training, then we want it to be absolutely to its highest standards and get as much out of it as we possibly can. We adapt the documentation to our needs, adapt the documentation to our needs, and we customize whenever we need. It's also, he mentioned the BIM execution plan. It's extremely important for us to communicate our requirements for BIM Track to the trade partners. as early as possible, and to get them trained as early as possible. You know, if we have it fully listed out in their BIM execution plan, when they go into that training, what their requirements are, they're going to be able to take that training and understand it more and have more pertinent questions.
Perfect. All righty. So as we move on to the what and the how, I've gone ahead and I've combined these into the same talking point, or you know, put it under the same umbrella, essentially because there are 4 methods or levels of delivering what we refer to as onboardings or trainings, and we try to have a solution for everyone depending on how they like to learn. Of course, everyone's different, and we establish this in a way that each method has a higher level of involvement from the CSM. And as we progress through those levels, you have more direct contact, more interaction with them. And we start with our self-serve training videos. And from the polls, I'd seen some of you utilize this method to become, you know, familiar with the environment. It's a great option for on-demand when you need it, you know, right away. Someone comes in, watch this video, you're proficient with the platform. You know, it's great for the self-learners out there. I'm very much aligned with that personally. From there, we offer open onboardings, and these are included in your customer care program. So this is underneath that umbrella. This is a watch and learn style session where users can pose their questions via chat. And again, today, guys, if you have any questions, you can throw them into the chat. And like I said, I'll try to get to those today. And if not, we have them documented and I'll reach out to you guys afterwards. So again, these watch and learn style sessions, you can ask your questions. Very, very useful. These are hosted on a weekly basis. I'll dig into these a little bit more in a second. We provide workflow Q&A sessions. Again, it's under the customer care umbrella, and these are designed to answer your project specific questions. And you know, and we try to get these booked, you know, right after projects are launched, so that, you know, we're answering your questions as soon as possible. And as we move into the next 2 methods that I had mentioned, the Care Plus and the custom content or professional services, we start seeing more flexibility with the substance in those sessions. And I'll let Drew speak to those a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. So the Care Plus sessions that we have with Matthew, you know, they're dedicated to our specific workflows and our templates that we've set up within BIM Track that we're trying to set out across 9 different hubs. I don't know how many active projects we have right now, but there's 30 some active projects that we're trying to get everyone aligned on. So having this Care Plus session is critical for everyone to be trained the same way. They focus on our workflows and our project settings. They're personalized and they're interactive, right? So it's easier to ask questions and to kind of spitball on different ways that we can use the tool, and if it kind of fits into our company-wide templates. We also have an internal training program that our users complete that contains specific custom content that was created by the BIM Track team. So this is kind of our teaching method within the company for our specific users. If I want every one of our superintendents, field engineers, office engineers, project engineers, if I want every one of them to go through BIM Track training, we've had BIM Track create us custom content and video sessions and quizzes for our internal staff to do. This assures that users are utilizing the platform in the way that we want them to be handling BIM Track, and that the mandated content was created under professional services BIM Track officers. Sorry, excuse me.
Perfect. So I had just mentioned the onboarding method, the public or their live open onboardings where users can register and attend. These sessions are hosted on a weekly basis, and I just want to cover some of them. So again, from the polls, I noticed that a lot of you had learned how to operate BIM Track through a colleague or a coworker. If you can dedicate 1 hour a day to one of these specific sessions, you'll notice that you may pick up on some useful tips and tricks that maybe, you know, we couldn't cover in, you know, just sitting beside somebody or sitting on a virtual Zoom with somebody. I'll just run through them real quick. So on Tuesdays, we host the project launch and setup session. This is a very nice session or not very nice session. This session is dedicated to your project settings, launching a BIM Track project. We're going to go through the teams and users. We're going to get outside stakeholders onto the projects. We're going to place them on the appropriate teams. We're going to discuss filters, quick filters, and we're going to explore metrics and reports. I like to say that this is the behind the scenes look into what goes on in your BIM Track project. So we direct this session towards our project admins, project owners, again, for those of you who are implementing BIM Track into the flow. On Wednesdays, we host the issue coordination session. This session focuses on Navisworks, specifically, solely the Navisworks environment. We are going to talk about the issue creation method. So for those of you out there who are familiar with the tool and work through it, you know that there are 4 methods of creating issues in BIM Track. We explore why we would utilize each method in a different environment or situation. We talk a little bit about grouping our clashes and our clash tests. We put out some recommendations there. And then we do a little bit of pinpoint management. So now we've pushed all of these issues, how we're monitoring them, how we're really going to start keeping an eye on the project within the Navisworks environment and how those issues are progressing. Thursdays are reserved for our external stakeholders, so subcontractors that we have invited into our project. This may be the first time someone sees BIM Track. If we've implemented it again into our flow and we've said we're going to invite our electrical trades, we're going to invite our mechanical service providers, we'll let the BIM Track team introduce them to the platform. They can tell them all about account management. Yes, they've received their invitation to the hub, create your account. This is how you filter your issues, a little bit of issue management in the cloud. But then we really like to put an emphasis and a focus on the authoring platforms, Revit, CAD, Tekla. We try to cover as much as we can in there. Typically the sessions are dedicated to the Revit environment simply because there's some added intelligence. So again, we want to see our modelers, designers, our sub-trades, our external stakeholders. BIM Track is here to help bring those users up to speed on the platform as well. And then every 3rd Friday, we host a session on the web viewer. So BIM Track's online model viewing platform called the Viewer. We go in there, we talk all about models, how we get those into the cloud. So we talk about the sheet management, the model management, and view management. We create and retrieve issues. We run through some navigation controls for those who may not be as familiar with the 3D environment. Again, the purpose of this tool is designed to get everybody involved, seeing the issues in a way that maybe they're not used to seeing before. Maybe a PM isn't used to working in a 3D environment, or a client representative wants to view the models, see how they're progressing. That web viewer session is a great option for them. So again, I'm going to provide you all with the link to these sessions. I'll show it to us before we leave here today, but it'll also be included in an email I send out afterwards. So moving along, we head into the when. And I just kind of spoke about this. So the onboardings are hosted on a weekly basis. There are 2 provided times, and as we just saw, the topics vary per day and are broken into specific project roles. Sorry, excuse me, pardon me. These are great as refreshers for existing users. It's an excellent resource for new employees, new individuals on the project. All of those sessions are recorded and provided afterwards. We also host monthly in-depth content-specific webinars like we're seeing right now. And this either focuses on an advanced workflow. So last month we focused on the clashes to issues command, a deeper dive into how we run clashes to issues in our project. We host all of these in a YouTube playlist. I'm going to make that available to you guys all as well once we're done here today. And of course, we have those Care Plus sessions and additional services, which we've mentioned a little bit, and those are kind of at a requested basis. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more and more about those as time goes on, but I'll let Drew also speak a little bit about the when here. Drew, you still here? Drew, you're on mute.
No, that would help. My apologies.
No problem.
When? So yes, getting everyone knowledgeable as soon as possible is our course of action for sure. The sooner the better in our eyes. It's more difficult to break bad habits, right? So many of our internal and external users have gone through the provided open onboardings Matthew has mentioned, but our Care Plus sessions, we're able to meet with Matthew and our project teams privately for a dedicated session that is more aligned to our project's specifications. With our large number of hubs and extensive teams, we're meeting with someone from BIM Track team almost on a weekly basis in private Care Plus sessions.
So we've spoken quite a bit about these Care Plus sessions now. I'd like to go a little bit deeper into what they are. So again, as you can see, they're dedicated, they're interactive, and they're personalized. We try to make them as project specific as possible, so we can really kind of customize the feel of that session, the attributes being used, the flows intended. And we have a very specific, I'll call it an a la carte type of method of approaching this. So these topics include the project template private workshop. This is a great session for really getting into how we are going to utilize BIM Track on every single project, not just one specific project, but every project moving forward. What are some best practices for that project template? How we can, really expect to use it with multiple individuals across multiple hubs, perhaps, or different districts. A great way of really bringing everybody on the same page. We have two sessions here, the interactive internal and the interactive external private workshops. So these, again, are very project specific. They are, hands-on with you and your team. They sometimes take on, very specific roles within the project. So somebody will play the role of the mechanical service provider, and someone structural engineer, and someone BIM coordinator. And it's a very, methodical type of session where we follow an issue's complete life cycle. The Advanced Navisworks Environment Private Training, pretty straightforward right there. It's a very heavy dive into the Navisworks environment, pushing issues out of the Clash Detective, out of anywhere we may uncover an issue, right into BIM Track. There's the Advanced Private Metrics and Reports Workshop. So of course, we know BIM Track has metrics and reports at our disposal. We want to really dig into them. Why we would utilize metrics in a more of an issue management type workflow, or how we can create very data-driven reports that are perhaps a little bit more intricate with our grouping and sorting of our results here. And we have a workflow consulting session. And this one is I'll say a little bit broader, but it will, again, take your workflow. A BIM Track Customer Success Manager would oversee your specific flow, help make recommendations as to how the tool could perhaps be utilized in a variety of different ways across the project's lifecycle. So this is what BIM Track can offer. And as we've been saying, Hensel Phelps has utilized these on projects, and they'll continue to implement them on future projects. And I'll let Drew speak to that.
Yeah, so we primarily use the Care Plus sessions as our primary source of training for our BIM Track teams and our trade teams. The session recordings prove helpful for all users who couldn't attend, as well as a good refresher for anyone that was not able to make the meeting, or that they had to step out or were muted and couldn't ask the question they wanted to or something. By utilizing these dedicated sessions, we see more engagement with external teams in a way that we really wanted to see, right? I mean, it's a tool that it's meant to save time, and if we're using it properly, then it will absolutely save time. And getting good training will allow you to use it properly. We also have internal users on the coordination side of things, book Care Plus sessions with Matthew to talk about specific project-related hiccups or workflows or in-depth questions that require more one-on-one attention.
Yep. So I'm sure you guys can kind of see what Hensel Phelps is doing and how they aligned with those the topics that I had just mentioned right there. And that kind of brings us to the final point here as to the who. And there are two ways of looking at this. All of our onboardings or training sessions are delivered by a customer success manager, CSM, like myself. And I'll just quickly talk a little bit about the team here. We have decades of combined experience ranging from civil engineering, BIM management, professional architect, right down to myself. I have personal field experience. So our internal knowledge sharing, it kind of keeps our CSM team informed about the entire project lifecycle. So questions that come up during our onboardings can be answered knowledgeably. And then we want to always talk about who we see in these sessions. And I like to be as vague as possible here and say the answer is everybody. We want to be training internal project team. We want to be training your external project team. And so we understand and we realize that this will require different know-how compared to internal versus external stakeholders. But the most important thing to take away from this is that everyone, including individuals like the client or a representative, have a session dedicated to them and and everything that they need to know. So we often will, from our internal team and our external team, often see a power user or a champion being elected. And again, heading back to the polls you guys had answered earlier, we typically see that user sharing their knowledge, which, as I said, is again encouraged because you guys have a very specific way of doing things internally. But always keep in mind that there is a session dedicated to somebody's specific role on the project, internal, external, and you can let a BIM Track customer success manager handle that for you. So I'll let Drew hit up on the who here a little bit.
So for us, the who is everything. And we take training extremely seriously. That we know that introducing a new tool to the project and are expecting the external teams to adopt its usage right out of the gate. So we make sure that they know where to go to get the trainings that are provided. We see these users utilizing the tool to its maximum capacity and being able to do things in the platform that self-taught users do not typically know. And we expect that, right? We expect them to use it to its full potential. Internally, we have a slightly different approach to how we get users trained in the BIM Track, and we'll speak to that in a minute.
Yep, and that essentially falls under the additional services. So again, we've mentioned additional services a few times as well today. So I'll give a little bit more of an explanation into exactly what these are and how they can benefit your workflow and implementation process. So an additional service is a custom service that is tailored to your needs. And as you can see here, we've got API integration support. It can fall under personalized training content, again, as Drew had mentioned earlier, custom videos, quizzes. It can result in the delivery of a custom or a dedicated certificate. We're here to provide that service as well. Again, Power BI report templates. These additional services can be explored with you, with your CSM, your account owner, and we want to determine exactly what it is you need and what that service would cost. So again, Drew, I'll let you speak to that a little bit too.
Yeah, so the additional service is something that we definitely used a lot. Users follow for internally within Hensel Phelps on our internal training software. Our users follow an interactive course with quizzes and videos and things for them to do, and then they have to touch base with Matthew and to validate their completion. They get a certificate, and that certificate is basically their entrance into our Power BI template or our metrics, our company-wide metrics, which is very important to us to see how we're doing. The course is specific to our workflow, which is extremely nice, right? So this is a internal course that is produced, that Matthew helps produce and produced, that we have within our systems, and gives an added layer of company-specific requirements, right?
Perfect. So that really covers the who, the what, the when, the how. We obviously know why we feel it's important to get you guys trained. It's making sure we're all on the same page. So now we're here at the end. Nobody leave yet. So we've spoken of these Care Plus and additional services quite a few times. You know, these are mandated sessions that are available to you. I am interested for those of us out there, if you would like to receive more information about the Care Plus sessions or about the additional services, I've gone ahead and I've launched a post webinar poll. Just 2 questions. You know, are you interested in attending some of those open onboardings I've mentioned? And are you interested in learning more about, you know, these Care Plus sessions and these additional services from your account owner, from your CSM? We can reach out and really kind of give you the information, set a time to sit down with you, look it over. So you should see the post webinar poll in process. I just realized there's a nice typo in my post webinar poll, so that's fun. That it's great for the recording too. That's it, guys. I didn't see any questions come in while we were chatting away here. Drew and I were going back and forth. So if you want to just kind of check out those last those post webinar poll questions, let us know. I want to thank you all for being here today. Again, we really appreciate your usage of the platform. You know, I always like saying, you know, BIM Track is, you know, continuously developed based off of the feedback of our users, and it's, you know, our user base that really helps steer the development ship as to what's, you know, being implemented and what direction we want to see that platform or the platform taking. So again, I thank you all for being here today. I'll stop the recording just so it's short and sweet.